Sills, and here we are. Day out from training camp for your Philadelphia Eagles and the quest to go back to the NFC title game and hopefully to another Super Bowl. A lot of teams reporting this week. A lot of news. NFL will be front page. The only other sports story, in my opinion, that will rival any NFL stories will be where Shohei Ohtani goes, whether he'll be traded at the trading deadline or if they'll wait until the offseason. Best thing for baseball is that they wait until the offseason. But one day out, baby, here we are. Oh, by the way, before we get going, Tone was just talking to me about a little bit of the movie Oppenheimer, and there's a scene in the movie, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but the President of the United States, Harry Truman, takes a napkin out, gives it to Oppenheimer. Hey, you feel conflicted on things? Guess what? Here's a tissue. You got an issue? Here's a tissue. So I hear these running backs in the NFL had this Zoom conference, and they were complaining about what's happened to the running back salary. Hey, Tone, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but you're talking to the wrong people. Why are the players demanding the owners say anything? Why don't you go to your union? Where was D. Smith? Where is the union? Where's the NFL union? You got a bitch with your employer, don't you usually, if you're a union shop, don't you go to your union? Where's the NFL Players Association? You're going to go to the employer to bitch about money. That falls on deaf ears. Dude, you need to go to your union. Your union don't have your back. That's why they got the leagues back. 10 years of labor peace. Cutting good deals with the owners. Running backs are crying, demanding that owners, guys getting on airplanes, scrubbing their social media. You need to take that up with your union, dude. Because an employer's never going to tell you, well, here's more money because, well, we're good people. There's an employer and an employee. And this is why you have unions. How crazy is it to think that the NFL players and these running backs have a leg to stand on? You don't. You want to forfeit $10 million? Can I tell you why the NFL will forfeit games in spite of themselves? The 1987 NFL strike. They would rather lose games by using replacement players than pay you. They did it before. They're not going to take a knee to you. Has the NFL ever lost a labor battle with the players? No. They're undefeated. They don't lose arguments to players. Players lose arguments every day to management. And here it is again. These guys are moaning and crying. Josh Jacobs, I'm not reporting to camp. So what? Saquon Barkley, so what? No one cares. The owners don't care. Dude, the National Football League owns you. They own you until they're done with you. They will use you as much as possible, and if they can find a replacement for you, they will. And they have. Other news, before we get into the topics. By the way, the disrespect of Jalen Hurts, it's like a campaign now. I know that, like people like Niner. Sills is on. No, it's new propaganda against your boy every day. We're going to get into that here in a minute. So Gardner Johnson gets hurt. You know what's funny? I hear people say this all the time. Hey, I don't wish the guy to get hurt, and I hope everything works out for him. I'm not hoping for anybody to get hurt, but good. That's just one less guy that we have to worry about now if your favorite football team has to play the Lions. Why don't you say the truth? Of course, nobody's hoping that anybody gets hurt, but that's good for the Eagles. That's good for the Cowboys. That's good for the Niners. It's called football. Non-contact, contact, people get hurt in this sport. Say the truth. Great, that helps the Eagles. So you're saying you wish? Of course not. Use your brains. Nobody wishes that. But that's good for my team. Okay? And JM, right. Hey, don't feel bad he's getting paid. That just helps my football team. One less guy. But that's cold, really. Well, guess what? I'm not rooting for your team. I'm not rooting for the Lions. I don't give a shit about the Lions. You got one less guy. Don't you always hear that? Hey, man, that sucks the way that player got hurt. So what, you wanted to play that team at full strength? Why would you want to play a team at full strength if you didn't have to? So wait, did you feel sorry for Brock Purdy when he got hurt? Did anybody in Philadelphia feel sorry for Brock Purdy when he got hurt? Wow, Tone must have taken out a napkin and started wiping his eyes and going, man, I wish we had played Brock Purdy and the Niners at full strength. Nobody talks like that. How about this? I'll take that back. Nobody means that. Anybody who says, hey, because they always put an asterisk on it. Hey, I'm just glad that, he's not hurt severely. I don't care if he's hurt severely, if he is or he isn't. I'm Switzerland on him now. I don't care. One less good player on that team. Well, that's a cold way of looking at it. Well, that's how the NFL looks at it. That's how other teams look at it. There's not a guy on the planet that wishes any player to get hurt. But if he gets hurt, hey, that's like saying this. I wish that Roger Federer had a chance to play against Rafa Nadal, and now this is not a real championship because Rafa Nadal couldn't show up. That's not Roger Federer's fault. People can't tell the truth is the problem here. Okay? That's Tone said. Tone says, I'm with you, Sills. I'm Switzerland on him. Dude, I don't wish any bad, but I don't give a shit either way. Okay? Either way, I could care less. Now, if you're telling me they got one lesser player that's a good player on their team, good. People can't talk like that, though, because you know why? People think you come off like a jackass, when in reality, that's the truth. That's just the truth. Deep down, you're thinking that, but you can't say it because you know why? You can't bring yourself to say it. I can. I don't know the guy from a can of paint. Why would I care? That's like watching the news every night, giving a shit about somebody in Oregon. Hey, that's a sad story. I'm going to go eat dinner now. Pretty crazy how people talk, but they don't really say what they mean. Right, Quan's like big Switzerland. Good, dude. Whether you're hurt or not, I could care less. I'm totally Switzerland on you now, guy. And if you don't line up against my football team when we play you, maybe in the playoffs, more power to us. Could care less. I heard people on the radio going, man, that's a really bummer. And I'm like, why is it a bummer? You don't know him. Well, he played in Philly. Well, he don't now. And he's talking shit on you. Dude, as far as I'm concerned, that guy's like a sunken battleship. I could care less where it sits. When you were playing, Dan, they wanted you to knock out. They wanted to knock you out. That was Hey, and get this. Dude, Joe Montana's not playing this week because he got hurt? Great. Is that a bad thing to say? I get the backup instead of Montana. Or should I have been this? Because people still have that dumbass sportsmanship thing. Well, you want to play your opponent at full strength. No, I don't. Tone. Tone's thinking more like a player there. Okay? Doza, what's up, my friend? Appreciate everybody coming aboard here. CJ Gardner-Johnson could give a shit if he's hurt or he's not. Has no bearing on my life any longer. Okay? Has no bearing. And if he's by the way, I play for the Lions. And if he's on the field for the Lions, good. I don't care if he's hurt or he's not. That's a bum. You know why I don't care? There's 6 million reasons. Hey, by the way, man, we got a packed show the next couple days here. We got Gary Cobb at 4:30 today. Tomorrow, Mike Missinelli at 4:30. And then Seth Joyner on Wednesday. So next 3 days are all filled up here. And with you, we appreciate you guys coming aboard. Barb, yeah, I was on the Lions. I think I got my paycheck. Oh, yeah, here, Barb. I like showing this, Barb. There's one of my incentive checks from the Lions. See it? Detroit Lions, big sales. There you have it, right there. One of my incentive checks. 10 bones. That's a roster bonus. Is it? Yeah. This was a $10,000 roster bonus that I got. I done. So, yes. Hey, JM goes, Sills, were you in Detroit? Yeah. He goes, how much of that check did you get? $1,500? Probably so, dude. Okay, let's move on here. Man. Oh, my God. I could not wait for Monday. I could not wait for Monday. By the way, I have burning questions for training camp, which starts tomorrow. We're going to do that here in a second. I could not wait for Monday. The disrespect campaign of Jalen Hurts continues. Pro Football Focus came out and named the top 50 most influential and important players in the league. And your boy wasn't on the list. Oh, my God. Hang on. Jalen Hurts, according to the metric that so many people use now, Pro Football Focus, says your boy's not one of the top 50 players in the league today. Damn! Let me say that again. He is not looked at as one of the best players in the sport. How do you even qualify influence? I threw that in. Hey, Tone, I threw the word influence in. Okay. I threw the word influence in. But let me tell you who the quarterbacks they put in the top 50. These are the quarterbacks that Pro Football Focus looks at as the elite quarterbacks in the National Football League today. Mahomes won, ranked number 1 as the best player in the sport. I thought you guys told me he played head-to-head against him in the last 2 outings. And Jalen Hurts isn't in the top 50 players? What? Joe Burrow, number 2 quarterback, ranked 10th. Pretty right? Number 3, Josh Allen, Bills, ranked number 12, the 12th best player in the sport. Not just quarterback, but the 12th best player at any position in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. Who's at 4? Now, you can argue how much you guys look at Josh Allen, the top 3, but what I think is the next 3 guys. Number 4, quarterback, ranked by Pro Football Focus, better than Jalen Hurts as a player in the NFL. Justin Herbert, Chargers, ranked number 35. Who else could be ranked ahead of Jalen Hurts at quarterback? Lamar Jackson, who missed an entire year almost a year ago. Ravens, number 41, ranked 41, the 5th quarterback. And here is the 6th, Aaron Rodgers. So there's 6 quarterbacks according to Pro Football Focus. I'd like to know if Pro Football Focus has Dak ranked ahead of Jalen. Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, but 10th. Josh Allen 12th ranked. Herbert 35th. Lamar Jackson number 41. And Aaron Rodgers number 45. Pro Football Focus doesn't look at your guy as one of the top 50 players in the game. Are they right? How could you be the top 50 players in the game when you've only had 1 year? There's an argument to that. Can you really justify putting Jalen Hurts as one of the top 50 players in the game at only 17 games? I don't know. Now, again, are you talking about last year going into this year? Or are you talking, is this a cumulative thing? Because if it's cumulative, they're right. But if you're coming off the 2022 season, I think you're wrong. Can you have your cake and eat it at the same time here? I don't know. Is that what Pro Football Focus? Because Aaron Rodgers ranked, this has to be off of 2. This is where the disrespect is. Tone, here's the disrespect. Nobody in their right mind is going to say that Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert or Josh Allen is better than Aaron Rodgers. So it has to be that Aaron Rodgers is 6 is the fact that he's coming off that year of a year ago. So for them not to put Hurts in the top 50, this is off the 2022 season, in my opinion, which is even more disrespectful. I'll give you, if this is a cumulative thing and how they look at him, and by the way, the reason I'm saying something about this is because a lot of people in networks use Pro Football Focus because it's Collinsworth's guys, and this is a metric that a lot of people use on how they evaluate players, especially on Mondays after Sunday games. Okay? I'll give you, if this is cumulative over the last 3 years, is Hurts one of the top 50 players in the game? No. But if you're coming off the 2022 season, I think it's very disrespectful that you don't look at him as one of the top 50 prospects, because then you got to turn around and do this. So do you apply that to Sauce Gardner? Can you put and justify putting Sauce Gardner in the top 50 players coming off of only 1 year starting in the NFL? I don't think you can if you're going to. Here's the point. Once again, whether it's NFL.com, CBSSports.com, Pro Football Focus, they don't think your guy's elite. They think he's an elite dude. Am I wrong? Now, how do you take this? Of course, you take it with a grain of salt. As a matter of fact, I would say this to you. I actually like Jalen Hurts in the underdog role. I think he excels in the underdog role. I'm not saying that he wouldn't excel whether he's expected to do something or if he's in that underdog role. He's going to do the best he possibly can. Okay? He's going to do the best he can. I get it. But this is about how people see him. And this is why when I get asked this question, do you think Jalen Hurts could be the face of the league? Never in a billion years will that guy be the face of the league. They don't want him to be. They would rather promote Lamar, Allen, Burrow, Rodgers, Jackson, and Mahomes. Shit, I think they'd rather promote the guy in Jacksonville. I think they have more of an opinion, and I mean the media, of Trevor Lawrence than they do of Jalen Hurts. Again, what's Trevor Lawrence done? He's done less than Jalen. Your quarterback is not looked at in a high light by people around the United States, especially the people that cover the NFL. He's not. They look at him as he had a great year. Can I say this to you? Honestly, I think they look at Jalen Hurts as a little bit better version of Geno Smith. They don't look at him as Justin Herbert. They don't put him in the same breath as Josh Allen. They don't even look at him like that. They would rather promote, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you what it is. You will be always disrespected. How about this? What's the constant between all those guys you mentioned? They're all former number one picks. The NFL props up their first rounders. They sure do. That has to be based off last year's performance. He's only been in the league 3 years. Weapon, if that's based off of last year's season, that list is way off. Okay? And I agree with you. I think it is too because Rodgers is better. Shit, Rodgers is probably the second best quarterback in the NFL. Okay, right now. Right now, he's probably the second best to Mahomes. Okay? But because he's coming off a bad year, he's sixth. Well, then where's Jalen? If he's coming off a bad season, Jalen's coming off I thought Jalen was coming off an MVP year. Dude, I'm going to tell you this. And I don't know if you guys agree with me. I think the National Football League and the National Football media had a higher opinion of Carson Wentz than they do Jalen Hurts. I think they had a higher opinion of him. And then obviously when he started going south, they destroyed him quick. But end of the day, I think the national media had a higher opinion of Carson Wentz. When Wentz was throwing for 4,000 yards and Carson Wentz was winning ball games and he was in an MVP race, I think they had a higher opinion of him at any time during Jalen Hurts' time so far. And once again, just because you got the money, that doesn't mean they have a high opinion of you. You think they got a high opinion of Kyler Murray? Who has a high opinion of Kyler Murray? Jalen makes $3.9 million more than him. That's it. And people would look at Kyler Murray and go, that guy's, he is not a leader. So the money is not the issue. The money doesn't give you respect. Okay, it doesn't. That doesn't, you got to go out and earn it. Holy cow. So you got one of the biggest publications in the NFL, in the media, telling you that Hurts ain't even in the top 50 players in this game. And you got everybody in Philadelphia saying the Eagles have the right guy at quarterback. That's not how the league sees it. The league is saying this to you. I want to see him do it when it matters against good teams. I'm not saying this even. This ain't me talking. Nobody believes that he is. How about this? You know what? I would say this to you and put this out there. I think a lot of people probably think that that's the best version you're ever going to get of Jalen Hurts. Because if you couldn't win a Super Bowl last year with that team, you got a lesser team this year. You think you're going to win it this year? You got a lesser football team. If you couldn't win a Super Bowl last year, what makes you think you're going to win it this year? Even the guy in the Inquirer said, don't expect the Eagles to get back to the Super Bowl. How do you know that's not like Dan Marino? What did Dan Marino do? And it was it second year, first year? Took the team to the Super Bowl. Everyone thought he'd go back 100 times. Never went back. I think he went back that one AFC title game against Pittsburgh. Right? Anthony goes, Sills is happier than a fat kid locked in a donut shop over these national people ranking Jalen Hurts. No, what they're doing is, I told you this months ago about Jalen. I didn't tell you. I think that list is disrespectful. But I'm telling you how those people look at him. I know those people. I know those folks. I've worked with the majority. We get those folks on here. I know how they look at your guy. You don't really think Chris Sims is sold on him, do you? As soon as that guy at ESPN, the quarterback, as soon as this guy starts going south, they'll start taking a shit on him again. He'll be dude, don't lose that game against New England. Woo! Boom. Dude, down for the count. Callie Green goes, keeps Jalen hungry. No way. You think PFF? I'll tell you this. Those publications don't bug Jalen Hurts. You know who hey, Tone, I know you know this. You think those publications bug Jalen? Absolutely not. You think it bugged the Eagle PR department? You bet your ass it does. You think that doesn't aggravate Bob Lang over at the Eagle camp? That the quarterback is not thought of in a great regard? When you got an owner that looks at him in a high regard? Let me tell you this. Don't think that that's not aggravating to the Eagles public relations people. That is totally under their skin when those lists come out. It's what their job is. Their job is to promote their players. And you can't promote the Eagle players. Why? Because people around the country don't look at the Philadelphia players and rank them high. They don't. They look at A.J. Brown and go, what a great player. You had to buy him from the Tennessee Titans. Okay, A.J.'s a great player. I think he's your highest ranked player. Him or Lane. Him or Lane, probably. I think Chris Sims is coming around. Barb says last year the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl. There's fans even out there that go on a suicide watch. PR people got to do something besides checking players' Twitters. I like that too, Rob. I do. Quan goes, Hurts doesn't give a shit, so why should you, Sills? Because I'd like to have Jalen looked at in a higher light. Nobody does around the country. Nobody that matters. The NFL doesn't even look at him in a high light. You see, again, I think they look at Jalen Hurts as a future Walter Payton Man of the Year kind of guy. But they don't look at him as an MVP guy. No way. And he's deserving. Last year he was deserving. Bro, I'm on your sides. I'm on your sides with this. That list was put together as were all these other lists going into camp tomorrow. Off a year ago. People weren't impressed with Jalen. Let me say this to you. If Trevor Lawrence had the year that Jalen Hurts had, do you think Trevor Lawrence would be propped up a little more if he got to the AFC title game and beat Mahomes? and then got to the Super Bowl and won it? You think he'd be propped? How about this? If he got to the AFC title game, do you think they'd be propping up Trevor Lawrence more than Jalen? Shit, they're almost doing it now. They ask why you give a shit. It's sports talk. Yeah, and it's how they look at your guy. They look at your guy not in the best light. And get this. Dude, I get the Mahomes. I could probably get the Joe Burrow. And get this. I could probably get the Josh Allen. But they got Justin Herbert ranked ahead of him. They got Lamar, who didn't even play but a half a season a year ago. And they got Rodgers coming off not his greatest year in the last 10 years because he's going to New York. And he's a great player. So out of the top 50 players, they look at Jalen Hurts as not a top 50 guy. And this is every position in the league. Really? You got wide receivers in the NFL ranked ahead of Jalen? D linemen? Linebackers? What's your evolution on the AFC quarterbacks? Evaluation on the AFC quarterbacks. Which quarterback has the best chance to get past Mahomes for the AFC title? I do think Allen. I do think Burrow. I do think Lawrence. I don't know what the Broncos are going to look like yet. Okay? I don't. Get this. That Bronco team could come out and look completely different and a complete 360 from what we saw a year ago. And they could go on and win 12. Could they win 12 games? Absolutely. Absolutely, they could go on and win. So I don't know the influence yet on what Sean Payton's going to bring to that. It's a pretty talented football team up there in Denver. Okay? That's right. Tone's like boom or bust. That's what it is. That team is either going to look like it did a year ago, or the Broncos are going to go on and be a force in the AFC. Okay? Sean Payton's a great play caller. He was a great play caller in Dallas before he got to New Orleans. And once he gets a signal caller, he gets that ball around the yard. He's going to – I want to see how that thing looks. Okay? JM goes, Wilson hasn't changed. He'll be bad. So you're going to take – okay, so wait a minute. Here, look at what JM just did here. A decade of being a great quarterback with Russell Wilson. Last year, he takes one season, calls him – he'll never turn it around. He takes one season of Hurts and calls him elite. That's ass backwards thinking. That guy's been elite for a decade, and he's going to Canton. You're going to go 1 year, and you're going to bury him over 1 year. I'm not there with that. Nathaniel Hackett was a train wreck. I'm not going there with that. I'm going to give Russell Wilson. Hey, Russell Wilson was the same guy with Pete Carroll as he was a year ago, but he won in Seattle. And he won Super Bowl. And he won a Super Bowl and 2 NFC titles. Okay? Tone's here. Wilson has over a decade of being on the top tier. Now he's dead and gone. Absolutely he's not dead and gone. Let him. Hey, Carson Wentz didn't just go like this. He went like this, albeit it was a steep decline. Albeit, I get it. I get you, Tone. I know you do. That guy is not a guy you just go, well, he sucks now. And just like you don't say Jalen Hurts is a lead over 17 games. I hear more people say that, and I can't tell you how many times I laugh at that. Jalen had an elite year the same way that Carson Wentz had an elite year. Still yet to be determined how his story ends. A lot of chapters to be written for Jalen Hurts. He's only through 3 chapters of the book. You've read 3 chapters of the novel and you think you're reading a masterpiece. Not me. Because the novel of Wentz started out the same way. Started out the same way. You guys were enjoying the book and then you put it down. We'll see. Well, he's a harder worker and you like him and he's a nicer guy. What's that have to do with anything? Nothing. Aaron Rodgers, who gives a shit if he's a good guy, nice guy, whatever. Go win me games and MVPs. And that's what he does. I don't care to break bread with you. I don't care to have a cocktail with you. I'm not looking to be your boy. I'm looking for you to deliver a Super Bowl. So I'll bring this up because Tone brought a great conversation into the mix last week when we were talking to you about your owner. One title in 30 years. You think Jalen Hurts underachieved last year or overachieved? Do you think he overachieved or underachieved? Let's apply the same concept that you did to the owner who's been in the building 30 years. Or are you going to change the goalpost here a little bit? Listen to my question. Did Jalen Hurts last year overachieve or underachieve? He overachieved? Really? You think coming up short's overachieving? You think, so you guys think he overachieved? Micah goes, there's no way to answer that. Why? You answered the question about the owner of the Eagles. Insane question. Why? Do you think that Jalen Hurts, yes or no, over or underachieved last year? We never had them going to the Super Bowl. First dual threat quarterback to make, really? There was a guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick, my friend, who got to the Super Bowl. You may have forgot him. This is good. Based off his career so far, he overachieved. Former number 2, second-round pick, was never drafted to be the starter, was about to be traded for Wilson or Watson. Yes, we lost the Super Bowl, but 30 years versus 3 years isn't a good comparison to me. Okay? Interesting. So he overachieved by losing the Super Bowl. Considering what the masses thought of him, yes, he overachieved. Over. You said team would figure him out by week 10. No. I said a team would bang him up by week 10. It was week 12 when they hurt him. I thought you'd get to the Super Bowl. I have a hard time with this question, Dan Greasy says. Here, before we move on, Jalen Hurts, did he over or underachieved? I think he set a bar for himself. I think he set a bar. And now he has a bar. He set the bar the first. Okay, look, if we're going to go by year to year, like I'm telling you and how you look at elite, his first year, did he jump over that bar? He did. By quite some distance. So he overachieved from the previous year on what he did. Now, I'm kind of changing the game here a little bit because the end result is winning. The end result is winning. It's a very difficult question because if you answer and you say overachieved, you're going to look back and go, yeah, but did McNabb, the year he got to the Super Bowl, did he over or underachieve? How about this? Let me ask you this one then. Did McNabb over or underachieve getting to 5 straight NFC title games in a Super Bowl? You think Jalen Hurts is going to go to 5 straight NFC title games? I do not. I do not. He set the bar. Now I'm on his ass from here. Okay, that's a fair comment. Because that's what Mahomes, because Mahomes has done that. Dude, nobody gives a shit what Mahomes does during the regular. Do you really care if Mahomes breaks the record for the single season passing yardage or touchdowns and shit like that? Do you really care? I don't. I want to see what he does with his legacy. Is he going to be like Brady? Is he going to be like Montana? Is he going to be like Aikman? And I'm talking about Super Bowl rings. Philly goes, he underachieved. I don't think, I'll answer my own question here. I don't think Jalen Hurts underachieved. I think Jalen Hurts overachieved on what my expectations, because I put the expectations out there. But I did think that team had a Super Bowl team, but I thought that they would get to the Super Bowl in spite of him. They got to the Super Bowl because of him. I'll say this to you. Here's the guys that were responsible for getting the Eagles into the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, the entire offensive line, the entire defensive line, and the corners. Those were the people that got that team to the Super Bowl. Those were the groups and people that were responsible for getting to the Super Bowl. Hassan Reddick is part of the front seven, Jameson. So instead of naming them all because they had 70 sacks, I put them all in there. McNabb had 5 cracks at it. He underachieved. So if Jalen Hurts has a couple more cracks at it, we'll be putting him in the McNabb category, right? So do you think he's got do you think he overachieves what McNabb did? Again, this is forecasting. That's quite a task to ask. Do you think that Jalen Hurts will get to more NFC title games than Donovan McNabb? I don't know. I don't know if that's the truth. Dan Marino didn't get to 5 conference title games. Okay? I don't know. Shit, did Peyton Manning get to 5? Maybe not, but if he steals a Super Bowl out of it, I'm good. Okay? So right now you're good with Wentz, having helped you win one, right, Tone? Good to know. Tone, that's good to know that you're good with Wentz. Okay, me too. Me too, man. Carson Wentz will forever go down in history as being one of the most important pieces to your Super Bowl run in 2017, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. Okay? Tone says that Wentz was the sacrificial lamb. He did a little bit of self-inflicting wounds, too, to himself. Okay? He surely did. All right. Damn, not one of the 50 top players in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. Incredible. And I think wrong. So you know. I know some of you are probably going, Sills loves that list. No, because I think, once again, it's disrespecting the guy. No. Because I don't think that's a cumulative list. I think those are guys coming off 2022. Because Rodgers shouldn't be low like that at 40. You think Rodgers is the 45th best player in the league? I so do not. He's a top 15 player. even at his age. Do you understand that that guy's one of the greatest signal callers and greatest throwers of the football in league history? His completion percentage, his touchdowns to interception ratio is off the charts. Like the second closest people to him are a far distance to what his completion percentages are and his touch. He's 3-1. Do you want to hear an even crazier statistic about him? That Aaron Rodgers, I think he just threw his 100th interception this year after 17 years. After 17 years. And he's got 500 touchdowns or 460 something. I mean, if that list is based off of 22 and Hurts was not on that list, that means the league still looks at him as a caboose and not the engine. Totally true. It's exactly the point I'm making. They look at him and say, he's got a loaded team. Best organization, one of the top 3 in the league. He benefits from that. I don't know how that's a bad thing. Just so happens he got drafted by a great organization. Hey, how many people look at it like this? The kind of train wreck human being that Ben Roethlisberger was as a human. You think if he goes anywhere but Pittsburgh, he succeeds? Boy, I don't. You think Ben Roethlisberger, let's just say this. If Phillip Rivers had gone to Pittsburgh instead of Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger went with the Spanoses, do you think he'd have been in more trouble in San Diego and Los Angeles than he was in Pittsburgh, having the Rooneys who have a way they do things? I think what saved Ben Roethlisberger's entire life was Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin and the Rooneys. Okay? And the Rooneys. I think it's where you get drafted too. Isn't it ironic that Jalen thought he was going to go to the Steelers? Either way, he was going to win. He was either going to Pittsburgh or Philly, and he landed in the Philly lap, and here we are. He was going to win either way. Because those two organizations, especially the Steelers, they're the gold standard. Plenty of trouble in Pittsburgh since when? How many Super Bowls do you have to the Steelers? You might want to watch that one. Oh, you got a better year this year? Okay, probably so. But you're not the Steeler organization. They've done it for over 50 years. You've done it since 2000. I'd be candid on that one when you're talking about your organization is better than Pittsburgh, because that's not the truth. There's a reason there's 6 Super Bowl trophies in that building. It's the way they do things. You can make the argument Herbert had a loaded team, has 2-star receivers, a top 10 running back, a good offensive line, and a top 12 defense, but no one mentions it. And he's also in the AFC, where you have Mahomes. And I would say this to you, Tone. True. But what did Brady do versus, or what did Manning do versus Brady? He had a losing record against them. He underachieved in Indianapolis. At the end of the day, think about that. Peyton Manning underachieved in Indianapolis. He completely underachieved. He probably overachieved in Denver. Okay? He underachieved. 1 Super Bowl? Okay. Well, wait a minute here. If people keep saying that Aaron Rodgers is underachieved, they got the same playoff record. They've won 1 Super Bowl. They got a Super Bowl MVP. What's the difference? See, it's kind of how you look at it. Manning is overrated. That I wouldn't go with. Bengals are the top bet to win the Super Bowl. Eagles are second on DraftKings metrics. Bengals, Eagles, Super Bowl? Yeah, I see it. I think Mahomes now in Kansas City's got an issue now. Chris Jones wants to get paid $30 million a year. He's not showing up to camp. Here's the problem with that. $50,000 fines every year he's not in camp. Or $50,000 a day. Every day he's not in training camp. So he don't show up. He's going to start acquiring these $50,000 a day fines. Then you're going to make that thing ugly. Then that's exactly what you want if you're in Cincinnati or Jacksonville or Los Angeles or Buffalo. Look at all the noise going on, and here are your Eagles. Quiet as a church mouse. I think it's great. And by the way, lists like this, I think it's the best thing on the planet for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's why. Dude, once you get into a comfort zone and you think you're the head rooster in the hen house, people start looking at you in a different way. I'd rather be the guy that still believes he's climbing the mountain than the guy on top of the mountain. Because once you're on top of the mountain, it's very easy to slip off. I think it's easier to slip off the top than it is to climb to the top. Okay? Not a lot of room at the top. A lot of angles. People come up from behind, from the side. You don't know where the next opponent's coming from or the next obstacle, an injury, multiple injuries. Guy not playing his best ball. We see that for the Eagles to get the same kind of performance from everybody that was new, that's on this current team this year, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Could Jalen Carter, all these guys? I don't know. We didn't know a year ago. But the one thing we did have was what? They were veterans. All on one-year deals. Gardner Johnson, one-year deal. TJ was on a free agent. He was going to be a free agent. Kaiser White was going to be a free agent. Sayamalo was going to be a free agent. You understand what happened a year ago with your Eagles? Everybody was auditioning. Everyone was auditioning for not just the Eagles, but for 31 other teams. So that's why they went out and played. They played to get to the Super Bowl, for sure. But at the end of the day, everybody was on a one-year deal because they were auditioning. Everyone was auditioning. You know how we know this? Everyone got a raise. Javon Hargrave was auditioning. Gardner Johnson was auditioning. TJ Edwards was auditioning. Miles Sanders was auditioning. Why do we know this? Like I said, everyone got a raise. Everybody who was on that one-year deal, whether you were going to be a free agent or a one-year Howie Prove-It deal, everyone panned out. They auditioned and passed the audition and got the part. TJ's in Chicago. Kaiser's in Arizona. Miles is in Carolina. Sayamalo's in Pittsburgh. Right? Bradbury auditioned, got his raise. Darius Slay is the only guy that had a self-inflicted wound that cost him money. Do you understand that? And the only reason that Slay got a $3.5 million haircut, because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He couldn't keep his mouth shut. He didn't like the fact that Bradbury was going to make more. Well, he ended up making more anyway. So he had to open his pie hole. And you know what it also came down to? Two things. Him realizing he didn't play that well down the stretch. And then Drew Rosenhaus telling him, hey, you're not going to get that money in the open market. Because the market, this past market, I'll tell you this, this past free agent market could be a sign of things to come in the future. Here's the team. Here's the guys that got paid. D tackles, safeties did not get paid. They'll never pay a running back again. How about this? Miles Sanders may have gotten the last big free agent contract for a running back in history. That may be the last time you see something like that signed ever again. Okay? Wide receivers will always be paid. Think about this, for instance. Odell Beckham Jr. and DeAndre Hopkins were both injured last year, and they got $14 million apiece. They were hurt. Beckham didn't even play. And Beckham got a raise from the money he was making with the Rams. How's that possible? And running backs in the NFL now are going home instead of going to camp. There's just certain positions now. Offensive linemen will be paid. Okay? You've never seen offensive line. Dude, Andre Dillard got paid. He got paid. Just saying, man. Okay? All these guys. Just to circle back, though. Just to circle back and close up this topic on Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not looked at in a high opinion by people for his ability. How could you? They think it was a fluke. I think most think in the NFL media, what he did a year ago is the best you'll ever see of him in his career. How else do you get this too? It's not just one publication. All these publications have a relationship with the National Football League, CBS. Shit, NFL.com is the NFL. Pro Football Focus, you see it on Sunday. Do you know why Pro Football Focus is a big deal? Because Sunday Night Football uses it. So on Sunday Night Football, they name the top 50 players in the league and Hurts is not on it. They're not promoting them. Think of the traffic that Pro Football Focus gets after a Sunday night game for Monday morning when it comes to evaluating players. And they click on other stories and they look at it and go, wow, people don't look at Jalen Hurts. Because you know this. People are headline readers. They're not substance readers anymore. You read a headline. You read a headline. You don't go knee deep into a story and go, well, this ain't really true. Okay? Spike goes, that's called hate. No, I don't know if it's hate. I don't think there's a guy. Hey, Spike, you don't really think there's a guy sitting there at Pro Football Focus who puts these lists together who's got a hatred for Jalen Hurts. No. He doesn't jump off the charts at you. And when you watch him play, he doesn't jump off the TV screen when you're watching Josh Allen throw a 75-yard touchdown strike. Or you're watching Mahomes in a battle going back and forth with Goff and him on a Monday Night Football game where it was electric. You don't see, that's not, Jalen Hurts is not going to get into a throwing game versus one of those guys. It's not going to be 50 passes apiece. Jalen Hurts may never throw 50 passes in a game. They don't look at him like that. MJ could laugh all he wants. That's not me saying that. That's everyone else in the country saying it. He thinks you know what's crazy? Somehow you kind of like, you tie that to me. That ain't to me. I think the list is bullshit. Okay? I think the list is bullshit. Because you're coming off of what the 2022 season is? They thought Lamar Jackson is a better player than what Jalen Hurts did a year ago. I didn't. I think you got to be on the field. See, to me, you missed the amount of games that Lamar missed a year ago. I think you exclude yourself from that conversation of being an elite quarterback. How can I sit here and justify telling you that dual threat, guys, is not the way to go and there's not a high ceiling by naming Lamar Jackson to be a better player going into this year than Jalen Hurts when he didn't play last year? You can't do that. Joey goes, I would take Hurts over Lamar. I'm not saying I would. But Jalen's 2022 season was better because he was there. Okay? Now, let's do this. If Lamar Jackson's in the NFC, he goes to the Super Bowl too. He goes to the Super Bowl too. NFC's horseshit. It's almost win by default. 5 burning questions. Training camp starts tomorrow for the Eagles. I got a couple more than 5. And I'm going to throw them at you. Don't forget, Gary Cobb will be at 4:30 Eastern time. We will talk with him. Hey, for the next couple days, tomorrow's Mike Missinelli at 4:30. And then on Wednesday, we got Seth Joyner. Hour number 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.